Hello, good evening, and welcome to Marghi lesson class. I'm by name Dunama Omorofio Umilo. I'm your guide. The topic for our lesson today is to look at few among the weapons owned by the Margis in ancient times. Now, why do we have to look at this weapon? Now, history is very important in life. You cannot do without history. A people, a culture, a nation without history is not worth it, does not worth it. So we need to go back to trace our history and how our people were able to take care of themselves during the ancient times. Now we know that all forms of trade in both individual and in community is based on the weapon they possess. Now the Marghi people, they also possess weapon. Why do we need to study weapon? Because these are the instruments our forefathers used in order to protect themselves against any form of threat, both physical and internal threats. Now, they were able to combat those threats using their own handmade weapon. So, we are going to consider few among the list of these weapons and look at their name. And if there's any errors, please forgive me for this. We are going to work tirelessly to make sure we get it right so that our people will understand that these are the weapons owned by our forefathers even before we were born. Thank you. Hello, abar pukar mum jamar gyuki akang abar mta kem aduna ma umar fio de mildo nim de lada wan nummer de le hagaku. Kran de jango balmi namrolo kushi aku balming de margegari. Ndega katsum de margegari. Atsan marabari a tsuku kamulu katsum di jijir muragari daga zizzigu. A tsuku muradzani ka je katsum di jijir muragari wanda nevur katakirin da dare ga balakirin da dare ga balakirin da kaka mushan da kaka mahirin da dare. Asun murabari magin da lang do balmikra rago kalam da balkasi ka jambalya fagin ka jambalya malagin ka jambalya kakamushagin ina mu ma kandakal namal mu zagu a tsiko kamarasun a badde jijir mar kada balakirinda o latar zuzzuga yarku aga balmir ndara min tumur balminda min pampam balmin din da gari zuzzugari jande mararulu de hagaku osiyan ma ina mai dia kalna kwa ke mulya kamar ke kabatun da ga dubari na tuapaya labar ki ya zani cica katsum yarku ngado Marghi agari zuzugu osiamo. Now in the Marghi culture, the first weapon on the list here by me is a gali. Gali simply means spear. It's one of the spear owned by the Marghis. Second on the list we have masu. Masu is another spear owned by the Margis during our forefathers. Now we have minga. Minga is one of the weapon owned by the Margis. Is used both during marriage ceremony and other festive period. So they use minga for their display. Then the Margis also own gafa. Gafa is another spear, different spear owned by the Margis, which means it only comes out once in a year. Then the Margis also have katakar. Katakar simply means sword. That's a sword owned by the Margis during the ancient time. They also have okwadang. Okwadang is also another form of spear owned by the Margis during the olden days. They also have lirgam. Lirgam is one of the name of the spear owned by the Margis, which have hooks in both sides. The lirgam is one of the terrible weapons I've ever witnessed because I know that also my father owns it. Also, Marghi has hafu. Hafu meaning arrow. They have bow and arrow, which they use during the olden days period. We also have vringi. Vringi also is one of the weapon the Marghi also own. They use I'll also look at it as one of the major weapons owned by the Margis. We also have Kihiapsar. Kihiapsar means knife that is tied around the male waist. That knife is used for also a protective measure, and also it can also be used for any eventuality. Maybe if there's any need for knife while an animal is about to pass out, then they also use that waist knife to slaughter it in order to not to allow the animal to die alone. Thank you. We also look at, they also have Ihir Ndal. Ihir Ndal, which means there's also another type of knife that they use for, or dagger used to throw. Is similar to that of the waist knife. They use it to throw. Now, in order to chase the enemy, they also use that knife to aim at the enemy while they throw the knife towards the enemy, and it will definitely hit the target. Thank you. We also have Zangar. Zangar is another type of spear in the Marghi language. We also have Pidagu. Pidagu is just like a form of knife which the Marghi also own. We also have Ngaliao. Ngaliao is one of the terrible weapons I have witnessed even during the 22nd November event that took place in Adamawa State, Yola, here in the state capital. In fact, the day I saw that weapon, I marveled, because that form of weapon, I tried to find out from one of the elders. They said, yes, we use this weapon against even tiger, leopard attack. They use those type of weapon to protect themselves from all those type of animals or wild animals. Thank you. They also have Madrakadu. Actually, this weapon, I have not seen it, but I will try to work hard to see this weapon. It's also a weapon owned by the Margis. We also have Jangum. Yes, Jangum. Jangum is a name of a sword, a calf sword owned by the Margis. A calf sword owned by the Margis is called Jangum. We also have Atsagalipu. Atsagalipu is also one of the dangerous knives owned by the Marghi, and is the smallest knife among the weapons owned by the Margis. I was told that it's tied around the arm, around the forearm, whereby at the tail end, the only resort, if peradventure a Marghi man is being pulled down, and the only resort he has to protect himself is that Atsagalipu, because it's a secret weapon that is kept secretly under the arm and very tiny. It's used to destroy the enemy or to kill the enemy. We also have Bila. Bila is one of the weapons owned by the Margis. We also have Thagu. Thagu is sickle, which is also owned by the Margis. We also have Uwamala. Uwamala is also owned by the women, and it's a dangerous weapon. I was told that for any issue, that Uwamala, it can be applied in any angle. And no matter how you fortify yourself, that Uwamala will also will pass through. So a fortification doesn't have any effect on that Uwamala. Then we also have Ada meaning cutlass. We also have Kum. Kum also mean axe in Marghi language. We also have Kumchikudu as one of our weapons. We use also maybe for other activities as well. We also have last but not the least, Legu and its spear. Legu simply means a shield. So we can see in the recent time displays of the Margis, we have seen that they are good in using shield during the olden days. We also have what they call Kihir Jil simply means the knife owned by the clan owned knife. That knife is also a weapon used by the Margis. With this, I hope we have come to the end of the lesson for today. Please For any information or contribution, please you can forward it through our phone line 080-645-88541 to help us make this record straight in order to make sure that we make this language better than the way we met it. Thank you till we meet in our subsequent class. Bye.